Huh. You know, I should probably take this off the runner before I review it. Hello and welcome back to another Gunpla review. Today we're taking a look at the Gunpla-kun DX Set. And as always, starting off the review with the articulation. We're not going to be here very long. Head is on a ball joint, though not really much movement out of that ball joint. Shoulders are on ball joints. Yeah, I mean you can rotate the arms up if you're very careful. But otherwise, not much going on there. Same thing with the legs, just the hip is on a ball joint there. And that is all the articulation this has. Impressively, he can actually stand up without the stand. Alright, getting into accessories and gimmicks, let's start off, as always, with sticker sheet and, by extension, color correction. Sticker sheet is just the black around the eyes. That said, I will put up a picture real quick of what the unpainted model looks like, and not amazing. So, all the black on the head, the vents, and around the eyes, and the Vulcans, and the rear camera, which they could have easily made part of the red on the inside of the head, they just didn't bother. Otherwise, the yellow on the little crotch V, which is a really small bit, but wasn't actually that bad, surprisingly. The gray on the hands, if you want it to be accurate to Gunpla-kun properly, you have to paint the elbows and the knees, but I went with anime colors, so I didn't bother painting those. Backpack needs to be gray. We'll get into it in a bit, but yeah, that was a pain. Otherwise, the paint pretty much goes into the accessories. Starting off with the beam saber, which is just a beam chopstick, so the pink has to be painted on it. Also, I don't know if it's just the paint, because I didn't try test fitting this before, but kind of a tight fit. And given the material, that makes me a little bit concerned, so I'm just going to gently remove that. And I mean, I know this is like a really stylized thing, but the size difference there is a little silly, isn't it? Otherwise, you get the beam rifle, which is part of the blue plastic, so it's just completely painted. Having to paint the entire thing gray means that you probably want to sand down the handle a little bit, which, again, we'll get into the problems with this in a sec, but painting the yellow on this actually wasn't that bad. It really does not want to focus on it, though. What the... Come on. Yeah, there we go. Not really much detail. I mean, the side has a good amount of detail, but the scope is just a dot. It was actually... Well, I sanded it down to be, looser, but... Fits in the hand alright. A little bit too thin in a few spots. Again, we'll get into it. Finally, for the accessories, you do get shield, which is molded entirely in red. So you have to paint the white trim and the yellow cross. That just clips onto the arm right about here. The big piece goes over the joint, and then there's a little bit up top that sits right underneath the shoulder. You do get a stand. Though, like I said, it can't actually stand up on its own, surprisingly. I mean, if you get it in a certain... Maybe lean it back a little bit more. Yeah. But that just plug right there. Now you don't have to worry about them falling over at all. And, as you saw at the beginning, you do get these parts for the fake runner. Which would make a little more sense if this didn't have a ball joint when the ball joint is attached to the torso, but whatever. Now, the runner that these two parts, well, three parts, are on is PP. Polypropylene, I believe it's called. It's the kind of stuff they make like milk jugs out of. It's really soft and flexible and very opaque white. The rest of it, however, is not made out of plastic. It's made out of Limex. Again, I'll throw up a screenshot, but basically it's not plastic. It's like a limestone replacement for plastic. And as you'll notice by the little blurb on the left there, they know it's crap. It does not take well to pigments. You can definitely see the one right there, but all over this thing, there's just white marks in the colored Limex. Some of them, a lot of them, are a lot less obvious than the ones on the blue, but the sides of the chest especially are disgustingly bad. However, worse than that is the fact that the material stresses unbelievably easily. People call this brittle. I don't think brittle is the right word. You can see, just putting the ball joint in, scratched the material. If you scuff a corner on this, it's just permanently white now. You just have to paint over it. You can maybe see the nubs up here, and that's because I painted over them. They are atrocious. The ones here on the side, let me... Come on. Actually, I'm not going to try and pull the arm out like that, because this thing is unbelievably fragile. Oh look, another nick. That's just permanent now. I am very careful when I build my kits. I have snapped like 2 things ever, and they were very, very thin little antennas. Both of these have stress marks. One of them just fell off. Just clean. I mean, I had to super glue it back on because cement doesn't work on it either. However, you can't see it because I painted over it, but the connection between the sensor scope on the rifle and the actual rifle itself stressed from handling it. I held it like this so I could sand the handle slightly, pinching the actual rifle itself, and just the gentle movement from sanding it was enough to stress that. Any stress marks on this at all is just permanent. I'm sure Limex has uses as a material. I'm sure there are genuinely good uses for it. Model kits are not one of them. Not only is it incredibly brittle, fragile, easily broken, permanently scarred, the pigments don't take color well, so you get massive white splotches in it. I mean, at that point, you just have to paint the whole thing anyway, so why even bother making it a color-separated model kit? But also, the pigments aren't very good. I mean, this is sort of a pastel color scheme anyway, but just even looking at the white comparatively, white plastic is very opaque and bright. This is almost translucent. So yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't going to pull the arms off because of how soft, easily broken this material is. I'd recommend just taking the whole back of the torso off and popping them out this way. And as for a quick size comparison, yeah, he's a little on the small side. And doing a quick size comparison of it actually on the runner, honestly, it has a lot more shelf presence like this. It's like twice the size. So, to wrap this review up, this is as much a review of the material as it is the actual kit. Gunpla-kun is fine. I think it's a little too small. And I don't mean that in like a desk toy kind of way. I mean, some of the parts are so small that they break too easily. I think if this was like twice the size it is, it would be much better when it comes to structural stability. That's not exactly helped by the fact that the Limex kind of sucks. Also, I do feel like the runner is missing the shield and the rifle. They're just kind of stuck on the stand behind it. I definitely feel like those probably should have gone on the left side. Could have easily fit them there. So, I mean, keep in mind Limex is really fragile and just not very good looking in general. If you want to get this to have it on the runner on your shelf, I can recommend getting it, because that's how I'm going to be displaying it, and I think for the price it's worth that. But if you want a little figure, just get an SD or something. Like, this is not that good. I don't know how much better it would be if it was made out of regular plastic, honestly. It's a nice enough little novelty if you just want to get one to put on your shelf, but it's nothing special. And I really hope they don't use this material going forward in actual kits. And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. Be sure to let me know what you think down in the comments below. Subscribe and hit the bell to be alerted for future reviews. Come chill in the Discord. Follow me on Twitter, if that's even still around. And consider supporting me on Patreon so I can keep bringing you videos like this. And, as always, until next time, happy building.